Categories and tags offer us ways to group together similar content on WordPress sites. Categories are broad, high-level, general ways of grouping content. Sites commonly have only a few categories, usually no more than 8 or so total. You could hide categories from appearing on your site. However, all blog posts must be assigned at least one category. Tags offer an additional way to identify more specific topics within a post. Whereas posts usually have 1 or 2 categories assigned, they may have several or many tags. Tags are optional and often display along with the categories for a post or in a sidebar or a footer as a tag cloud showing more popular tags in a larger font. Clicking on a category or tag on a WordPress site will usually take you to an archive page showing all of the posts that share that category or tag. It may be tricky at first to know when to assign a topic as a category or a tag. I've included some links in the video notes for tips on this. Next, we'll step through how to assign categories and tags in WordPress, and we'll take a look at a few good examples of categories and tags. We can find categories and tags listed underneath the post section in the admin area. If we go into categories, we can see that this uncategorized one is the default WordPress category. Since we can't delete it, what we're going to do is come in and edit it and change it to WordPress. We have the name, which is how it appears to people reading it, and then the slug, which is what appears in the URL. We'll leave out the description and parent for now and go ahead and update this. Let's imagine now that the blog that we're building has to do with the things that we're learning on Treehouse. So a few good broad level categories could be WordPress, CSS, JS for JavaScript, and notice that I'm just adding the name and it's automatically coming up with a good slug for me. I'll go ahead and add a few more for PHP, databases, and iOS. Now let's come into the tags area. Notice that by default, WordPress does not have any tags installed. So while the topics that we're learning on Treehouse could be the high-level categories, specifics within that would be good options for tags. So let's say if we have things like reviews, tutorials, blogging, and then maybe even some subtopics from within those categories that we had earlier. For example, if we're doing a WordPress category, plugins and themes are going to be something that will come up later. Now let's go ahead and look at our posts. And when we come back in and scroll down to view our categories, we can see that WordPress is already selected because it's the default option. You have to have one category selected, and that's why I suggest updating the default category to be whatever your most common category would be. We could choose to add other categories here as well. Like mine, I like learning about PHP along with WordPress, so maybe both of those would work. And you could add new categories directly from here as well. The tag options work a little bit differently, and we can see that we don't have anything to choose from, and even if we click Choose the Most Used Tags, since we haven't tagged anything yet, none of those options are going to come up. However, if I started to type something like review, which is one of my existing tags, then we'd see that this comes up. We could add it as well as create new ones on the fly, like one for learning. Let's go ahead and update this, and then come to view our post. What theme you're using determines how categories and tags will show up on your site. However, when you're viewing a post, you could generally find the categories as well as the tags. There are also widget options that can list out categories and tags that are commonly used in a sidebar or footer. If we click on one of these, it should take us to a page that lists out all of the other blog posts that have that same category. These are called category archive pages. I will note that if this doesn't work by default when you first set up a site, or you see a 404 error, you could come into your admin area and under Settings and Permalinks, go ahead and just save the changes again. There are a few little quirky issues with WordPress sometimes that saving these permalinks will solve. So if when you view a blog post and you click on the category or tag, and that page doesn't work at first, go ahead and try that option to fix it. From here, I'd suggest you set up a few categories and tags on your own example site. You could use the ones that we came up with, or you could try to think about if you were creating a blog, what would be good examples of categories and tags that you would use.